Damn it! I wanted the last video to be the last one, but I suppose we have to complete this series of videos. And yeah, I started off in Yansar talking about memories. We've talked about the Islamic invasion. The last one was the Caliphate of Catalonia. And then someone made a comment on the last video saying Soros is behind all these independence movements, and I suppose I have to tell you what I know, really. And I wanted to avoid this is because I'm continuing in danger of being doxxed, and I didn't really want to give this all away, but fuck it, you know. I know shit, they know I know shit, so let's give you some background to the tribal influences. Let's call it the tribal influences on the Catalan independence movement. In the last video I talked about 2012. Everything started in 2012. Now the Catalan National Assembly was formed in 2011-2012 by a friend of mine. I don't think there's anything untoward happening there, but there was obviously a propaganda campaign that happened in order to set things up for that 2012 Catalan National Day demonstration, that first demonstration with 1.5 million people. Prior to that, you know, there'd been a few thousand people on the streets, but it wasn't the phenomenon that it's become since then. So the Assemblea Nacional Catalana, which is the Catalan National Assembly, which is the main independence, you know, popular independence organisation, got lots of people, lots of actors, musicians, public figures, popular figures on board, and they started an ad campaign, and for the months prior to September the 11th, or the 6 weeks prior, there was obviously something going to happen. And there was a great advert on television for a couple of weeks before, which was a poem by Salvador Espriu called Pell de Brau, which is the cowhide, the skin of a bull. Yeah, the skin of a bull. And it was talking about the shape of Spain, and it's a very passionate poem. I'm not going to go into it. I mean, it's all in Catalan, and it refers to, in that poem, to the Sepharad, the Sephardi. Now, I checked this out a little bit the other day, and Salvador Espriu was accused of being an anti-Semite, but everybody felt, or I believed at the time, that this reference to the Sepharad, I can't remember the exact line, but it's something, listen Sepharad, a nation cannot be itself unless it is free. Now, when I heard this poem at the time, because I was non-red-pilled on the tribe, I kind of assumed he was empathising with the Sephardic Jews who were expelled in the Inquisition in 1492. But thinking about it, I wonder. Now, this is pure supposition. I wonder if he wasn't saying, "Hey, Sepharad, we want to be free from you," because I've been looking into lots and lots of historical things, and the Masonic influence on Barcelona, and I don't know whether it's Jewish, I don't know whether it's Masonic, I don't know whether it's Templar, I don't know where it comes from, or Catalonia, has been very strong. Franco always said that he hated people that were pro-independent. He hated Reds and Masons, and that's why he hated the Catalans. So I don't know what that is, but the important thing that happened is that 1.5 million people came out on the streets on that September the 11th. And supposedly Artur Mas was on the fence about independence. And around that time, there were obviously talks going on. Sheldon Adelson, the famous Zionist major contributor to the Trump campaign, put forward a proposal to set up something called Barcelona World. And Barcelona World would have been a kind of European Las Vegas, in the very close to PortAventura in near Salou, in the south of Catalonia, and they wanted to set up special laws for prostitution and gambling to allow this Las Vegas to take place, and Catalonia would have become basically the centre of European crime in many respects. Bloody, these bells are very annoying, but anyway, we'll just have to put up with them. So Catalonia would have become the centre of European crime, and Sheldon Adelson was going to put in billions into this project. And so once the Zionists were on board, were going to invest in Catalonia. I don't know, I can't remember whether this was before or after, but Artur Mas came out, the conservative leader of Convergència i Unió, came out in favour of independence. This was a position the conservative parties had never taken in Catalonia before. And I'm looking back on events now, but it seems that, yeah, he had reasons to be confident that Catalonia would survive economically. He came on board, and then for the next 2 years, the Catalan independence movement was very, very together, very organised, talking about systems of government, constitutions. I mentioned this in the last video. There was a kind of 2,000-page report on what the new nation state would look like. Artur Mas used to talk about small nations, you know, the power of small nations. Catalonia's got a population of about 7.5 million, so he was comparing Catalonia to Denmark, to Switzerland, and very, very often to Israel. Israel had to be the model of nation for Catalonia to be. And also at the time, these kind of links between Catalonia and Israel were strengthened culturally. So there were weekly flights from Tel Aviv to Lleida in the south of the Pyrenees, where they would celebrate how the Catalans had helped Jews escape over the Pyrenees through what are known as the Cathar routes. The Cathars were in southern France, and Cathars, when the Albigensian Crusade started, had escaped through paths over the Pyrenees and been given a home in Catalonia. Now, apparently, I was completely unred-pilled at the time. Now, I thought this was all fantastic stuff, and that you know, the Catalans had helped the Jews, brilliant, and you know, the Catalans were all part of the French resistance, and we were all against Hitler, and weren't we so good? And this was the whole propaganda thing. Obviously, I didn't really know very much about my history then. Let's sit down here a bit and look down this road, and this nice bloke coming here with his kid. And to be perfectly honest, I think one of the reasons why, one of the early topics that I had with Brian of London was on this very subject. He didn't want me to speak about English nationalism. By the time we began our conversations in 2017, I was already pretty much an English nationalist. I'd transferred my Catalan nationalism to my real identity, and my real identity is obviously English. It's something that I can never lose. It's what I am. But he wanted to talk about Catalonia because he wanted to strengthen this Catalan independence thing, because I think that kind of group of people are kind of Benjamin Netanyahu, Adelson, Zionists, and this is pure conjecture really. I've not really got any facts here. I've just because I know the way the world works. I'm making these observations. They're not observations. Or accusations. I'm saying what happened. But I think there might have been an inter-Judaic dispute going on here, because Adel in 2014, after the attempted referendum on November the 9th. As I said in the last video, Artur Mas made a speech, and Oriol Junqueras of the Catalan Republican left opposed him. Artur Mas made a speech saying, if we all work together, we can become independent. Now, I'll be honest with you, it looked like that was possible at the time. There seemed to be financial backing. Amazon had just decided that it was going to make Catalonia its centre of distribution in southern Europe. There was plenty of investment. There was obviously financial support. It looked we could get banks on our side. As I say, I was very, very, very green to a lot of the issues that I deal with now. But having gone through all this, I've obviously had direct experience, and now I look back and reflect and kind of understand what was happening. Now, Oriol Junqueras said, no, we're not going to be unified, we're going to go separately, and we're going to do it this way. Very soon after that, Adelson pulled out and Soros moved in. Soros has got an Open Societies Foundation's offices in Barcelona. I have learned that there's a Catalan think tank called CIDOB. I can't remember what it's the acronym for. But various members of CIDOB have moved from Open Societies Foundations to CIDOB, and from CIDOB to Open Societies Foundations. So there's obviously a connection between the Catalan liberal elite and George Soros. And also, I talked about the radio show that we had. I had a radio show on a small English station. Well, we got headhunted by Catalan National Radio, and we would have been the first. We would have done 15 minutes a day on Catalan culture every day on Catalan National Radio. Me presenting. This is before I was just a humble YouTuber. I was going to be a proper radio star. And in order to do that, we had to speak lots of talks called with Diplocat, which is the Catalan diplomatic service. And they're all very liberal lefties, and they were very Soros influenced. You might not know that, but Open Arms, the refugee, the people traffickers run by Oscar Camps, is based in Badalona, which is a town just up the coast from Catalonia. And so what I was talking about the caliphate before, they're definitely involved in the people trafficking and the open borders thing. And both the left-wing parties, Esquerra Republicana and CUP, which is the far left Marxist party, sought to bring Artur Mas down, and in 2015, after some elections, he fought to have elections, and they just managed to get a unified candidacy together. He was elected president, but the far left CUP party refused to invest him as president, and he was brought down, and Carles Puigdemont was brought in. Now I know Carles Puigdemont's wife, because I used to do quite a lot of television here for the Punt Avui television station, which is also very lefty. And all of a sudden, pretty much after that moment, Convergencia, the proper Conservative Party, was destroyed, and everybody, even the Catalan Conservatives, came on board with the open borders thing. And this is what I was saying in the last video. I'm not going to support an open borders Catalonia. lots of the politicians are coming out and saying things like, you know, I don't support a Catalan flag. A single language in Catalonia doesn't represent me. Why do we need borders? We're open to the whole world. Well, it's not going to be Catalonia then, is it? And we're not talking about hatred here. We're talking about my concern is and this is how I became a nationalist, because I vicariously became concerned about their well-being, the well-being of Catalan culture and Catalan language, and understanding that a rich country just simply couldn't accept so many immigrants, so many unqualified immigrants, without going bankrupt. So those are some more thoughts. So Sheldon Adelson and George Soros both have been involved in this, and I suspect that there was an internecine battle between two prongs of Judaism, the Zionist side and the more communist side. The Zionist side represented by Sheldon Adelson, and the more communist side represented by George Soros. And it seems that George Soros won. What I know about Zionism now, it's hard to say really. Would it have been so terrible having a kind of Catalan ethno-state protected by Israel? Wouldn't have been that bad really. Makes you wonder. Anyway, those are some thoughts. You're going to sound, I'm sounding like a dreadful traitor here now. But you kind of live this stuff and reflect on it. And I just thought I'd, close this circle of videos by saying that, yeah, the tribe has been involved in this. And the commenter is completely right. George Soros always has his finger in these pies. Colour revolutions, the Arab Spring. He's involved in all the minor independence movements, and it's very, very sad that they always end up being cucked leftism. If you look at Canada, if you look at Scotland, and now if you look at Catalonia, they've all ended up in the same place. Well, that's it from me now. I'm going to go for a beer and lunch. It's been 6 videos in total in 3 days, which is not bad output. I'm probably going to be quiet for a while because I've got plenty of work to do. Look after yourselves. This has been a great few days, but I've got other things to do, and I'll come back. As I said on the first video, I make videos when I feel I've got something to say. So look after yourselves, and my thoughts are with you. Cheers.